Tell us a bit about
Okay,
the class.
the class is focused on Great Lakes coastal wetlands, and so we spend a lot of time in the class visiting field sites that are on. Most of them are on Lake Michigan and Lake Huron, and they're within 30 to 40 miles of the station. And we also, on our longer field trips, we go up to Lake Superior, and we're focusing on a number of things. First off, I teach them a lot of the plants. You can see there's a lot of different plants growing out in the marsh. Teach them to identify most of the species, and I teach them to see the zonations. That most of these wetlands are zonal wetlands, and so they'll learn to understand the differences between submergent wetland and emergent. Submergent wetland, which has mostly submergent plants in it, emergent wetland, which has bulrushes, this is what we're standing in right now. And then we go up to the meadow zone where we see a lot more diversity. So the further inland you get in the wetland, a lot more diversity. So they'll learn all of those plants, they'll learn to recognize the zones. They'll recognize the processes, so that this wetland that we're in right here is a fairly high energy wetland. It's right on the straits of Mackinac, and so major storms come in here, and so this type of wetland is fairly open. It doesn't have dense vegetation, but rather it's open. So we look at the wetlands and try to understand the different levels of energy, wave energy and wind energy, that are associated with different types of wetlands. And we also look at the long-term history of these wetlands. So some of the wetlands that we look at are 4,000 to 10,000 years old, and we'll see those changes in vegetation that begin occurring when a wetland's thousands of years old, rather than just being a recent right on the shore of the Great Lakes wetland. So those are the major topics. One more topic that we spend a lot of time looking at is the hydrogeomorphic classification of wetlands, and that's different landforms. So river mouths versus open bays versus protected bays versus wetlands that are occurring behind some sort of a sand barrier like a beach ridge. We spend time looking at those and understanding their distribution Great Lakes wide. And in a sort of a final track, we try to relate the wetlands. We look at a lot of high quality wetlands in the Straits, but we try to relate it, the class, also to restoration and to degraded wetlands, and how we can compare and recognize the difference between the two types of wetlands. So that's a quick summary.